I hate to announce this, although it's not going to affect any of you individually, just like none of this ever does. So, why would MSNBC release photos of the first three service members killed in action as African American soldiers, when in reality they were not? Now, I'm all about dismantling DEI. I talk about it a lot on this channel. But the day after the service members were announced to be passed away, there was all of these photos of these three Black members who were going viral for their heroic service. And all the comments were like, oh, these true heroes and all that stuff. And it's great. I'm for celebrating any fallen soldier, regardless of color of skin. But it just shows the lengths that the left-wing media will go to divide Americans. And even by propping up false deaths by false soldiers in a war that turns out all six of the service members were white. And it has nothing to do with race. We're all Americans. But I think that these people are just showing their own colors daily, even during the war, even still acting like Trump is a dictator, even still acting like none of this matters. And it's the 70s steroids as far as being anti-war. But if anyone were to make sacrifice for our country, regardless of the color of their skin, they should be like shown to the world as true heroes. So anyways, you might look at this video a few years from now and I'll look less crazy, but they took those videos down, those photos down. It was just misinformation. And I don't know why a news network would go to the lengths of basically false valor for individuals who did not pass away to promote some kind of DEI narrative, even in death. So anyways, speaking of military meals, no, I'm not sponsored by these guys, but CCAR, I got these military meals. They are amazing. Here's the thing. I think that they are full of testosterone because I had two of them yesterday and it felt like I could run up a hill backwards with an American flag and a bald eagle on my shoulder. Now, the reason I say that is these combat meals are made for the first 72 hours of combat. So I don't know what the U.S. government's putting in them, but they make me feel like I'm about to run a marathon. And I think that that is exactly how our soldiers should feel because they're in harm's way. And of course, rest in peace, 6 soldiers that passed away. But we have to look at the narrative of truth and transparency. Transparency. Guys, I'm from Colorado, so I'm not going to be able to say that word correctly. And yeah, Spring Forward has also brought up a lot of issues with the work economy. They say millions of hours are lost because individuals arrive at work late and their productivity falls. So what we have to do is just be productive as Americans and continue to do our best to support our troops. Another thing that is going to be happening with Iran is that gas prices are going up. Now, I'm all about paying what's necessary to keep people safe. And we as Americans should be okay with paying higher gas prices if it means that a regime is being toppled down. It's a very stark difference between the gas price that Biden put upon us, which was a false tax. He intentionally bought oil from like Venezuela and Iran, which is ironically the countries that Trump took out pretty much, those leaders, and artificially raised our gas prices to switch people to electric vehicles. But if you've seen my channel, I talk a lot about Cuba. Cuba is essentially just like this one island that cannot run without gas. When I was there, they had horses and carriages. So the idea that someone's going to drive a Tesla on the island of Cuba is insane, or the Philippines or Mexico, and even have a place to charge it. It was fantasy land, and it was anti-human to expect people to give up their cars for some electric car that costs $55,000 high performance, $30,000 normal car. People can't afford it. People revolted. I remember when I was sitting in my Tesla that I rented because I was forced to because of Joe Biden, because they did not have electric cars for rent. There were all these big lift trucks that would come by me and just like gun their engine and make black smoke just fill up the windshield just to show how much they didn't like Teslas and they wanted me out of there because they thought I was from California. Then when Elon Musk turned Republican, man, they all left me alone. How ironic is that? It's good to treat people the way you want to be treated, regardless of what car they drive. But yeah, the whole anti-human, anti-car, California's done it for the longest time. They artificially raise gas prices. Maybe the tax is $2.50 per gallon. Now it's going to be like $7.50 a gallon or $8 a gallon, just because they're incentivizing people not to drive. They want less cars on the road, but yet their highways are the most congested in the United States. People don't listen. They'll just pay the money because they want to drive and they want to have the freedom. Part of the Democrats' plans to take away our freedom. That's why they do not want us driving our own cars. And if we are on the grid, they want us to be in electric cars. So probably, I don't know, they can track you. I'm not saying that's the reason why they do it. But yeah, this whole Fantasyland Joe Biden thing was like, get people to electric, man, but less than 5% of cars are electric. And with the grid collapse in Cuba showing that if they were on electric cars, some could say they wouldn't need gas, but they need gas to run the power plants, to run the electricity, guys. It's all a circular reasoning thing, and it's all about control. In the same way with New York, they charge a tax every time you go inside the city and leave the city. It's a congestion tax. They want less cars, less congestion. But at least they have subways and infrastructure that lasts 100 years to support the people who are actually wanting to have an alternative route. Where places like Tennessee, places like Chicago, their transportation, public transportation is dangerous. They tried it in Nashville. They tried this whole park and drive thing where it's like you park at an old Kmart that's now gone, but when it was active and it was around, this is like 2014, they had all these business professionals parked there, and they were saving the environment, and they were trying to make everything, pure and less emissions. And they would park their cars that they work hard for, that they're already paying insurance on, and take the bus to do the self-righteous thing about going downtown and not causing a lot of pollution. But then people realize, you have a car, why would you ride the bus? Why would you ride the dangerous, stingy bus where murders happen? And yeah, I saw a guy pull out a knife on the bus like a couple years ago when I was riding it, and he went crazy. A lot of people see that stuff. My brother saw someone get stabbed. It just happens. So if someone asks, why don't you ride the bus? That's why, because there's a lot of crazies on the bus. And unfortunately, it's people at the lowest end of the totem pole. And if you are someone who has money and you're riding the bus to save or to be virtuous, it's great, but it comes with risks. And that's what people notice, because the general public knows best, and they will always vote with their money and with their actions. That's why we have elections. Anyways, guys, there's another Kashi poll about the dictator of Cuba, actually, when he's going to fall. There's like 44% that said before August. There was like 60% that said after September. But anyways, people are betting on the fall of the Cuban government on Kashi. There's a photo, I guess I could post it, but the idea is I'm more of a talker, less of a video editor. And this whole thing should probably be in like a radio format. Because I'd probably have to get an editor to show up slides and stuff. But the hours of the day that it takes to bring those slides, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be better show. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments about the DEI situation and the false news. Let me know what you think about gas prices. Will you stop driving? Will you take the bus? Will you continue just to pay the freedom tax it takes to take out Iran? And, you have to think about all of those, 30,000 protesters. That's what I think about when I fill out. It might cost a couple dollars more. Those lives are being avenged by the United States government because they did not deserve to be killed protesting. And that's the reality of it. And everything else will shorten out because those do the right thing. Good things will come. Have a good one, guys, and we'll see you